Once you have your channel promise and you understand your ready to buy audience, it's now time to do some reconnaissance. We need to do market research because the more we can understand who our audience is watching and how they're watching YouTube content is going to help you create better content. That's why we have not talked about any video ideas yet. It's because we really need to dive in and do this foundational work first. Because just like any kind of house, if we don't have a strong foundation, it could all come tumbling down. So we want to build the strong foundation. And this last piece and research that we need to do is looking at our niche neighbors and finding the channels your audience already loves, because this is going to give you a gold mine of information. What is a niche neighbor? So a niche neighbor is a YouTube channel that attracts your ready to buy audience. It's not always a direct one-to-one comparison. So for example, Nick Nimmin, he teaches YouTube strategy, but I know my audience isn't watching him because remember I said he's talking to YouTubers and I'm talking to business owners. You may be a copywriter. It doesn't mean you need to find another copywriter. You need to find somebody that your audience is watching. So for me, my audience may be watching a copywriter. My audience may be watching a productivity person. My audience may be watching somebody that helps with goals, right? So it's not necessarily a direct one-to-one comparison, but you want to look at the channels you know your audience is watching. Their content complements yours, giving you a strategic advantage. So, because I'm talking about a copywriter, I may go to that copywriter's channel and realize she's talking about her content calendar or her content strategy. And I could talk about a topic and address some of the questions she's getting on that video because she may be talking to business owners. And that's who I want to attract. And if I can get YouTube to link up my channel, put me in that category with that copywriter, it just doesn't mean they're a copywriter niche. They're copywriter for a business owner. And if I can get my channel into that category with them, I can start to have my videos recommended alongside the copywriter's videos. And that's where the momentum really starts to pick up. So, what is a niche neighbor? So, a health coach teaching intuitive eating could have a niche neighbor who focuses on fitness routines, right? They aren't the exact same person, but somebody who is looking for intuitive eating could also be trying to find a fitness routine or watching fitness routine videos, right? A business coach for service providers might have a niche neighbor who teaches productivity strategies, right? They both serve business owners just in different ways. So I'm hoping this kind of opens up. We're not just finding somebody who does exactly what we do, but we're looking for people who our audience is already watching. This really matters because I kind of alluded to this earlier. This is going to shortcut your growth by studying what's already working. And it's going to allow YouTube to figure out who to categorize you with faster. It's going to allow you to find gaps where you can stand out. And it's going to increase your chances of getting recommended by YouTube in front of your ready to buy audience. All right. Remember, we talked about these categories. So if this is a business owner, what is that business owner going to be watching content on? Copywriting, social media, goals, those types of things. So I want to fit in this category. If this person is trying to get fit in 2025, what types of content are they watching? Fitness routines, healthy eating, sleeping better, those types of videos. So we can look at the categories like that as well. And so if we can find niche neighbors to kind of piggyback off of, to align ourselves with, it helps us get into this right category faster. So as I was updating this program and I was throwing Q&A calls into ChatGTP, asking it things that popped up, a student had asked in one specific call, what exactly do I do with these channels once I find them? So you use their data to train YouTube's algorithm to associate your videos with theirs. If your video topics align with their best performing content, YouTube will test recommending yours. All right, that's the whole point of this. So what are we going to do in this niche neighbor analysis? So the first thing that you're going to do is you have to identify where your audience is already watching content. And I get the thing, well, my audience isn't on YouTube yet. Well, if you haven't been on YouTube, you don't know your audience isn't there. And they probably are because there's a lot of people on YouTube and there's a lot of different things being watched. So your audience is there, but who would they be watching on YouTube? And I'm also going to tell you this is at this point in time that you're going to need to watch YouTube videos if you're going to be on YouTube because you need to understand how YouTube is presented, how people create videos. It's also going to allow you to get different ideas and how to edit, how to thumbnail, how to title. And so at this point in time, as we walk through niche neighbor analysis, I am going to drop this little piece of information that you do have to watch some YouTube videos to understand how you can create better YouTube videos. All right. So once you identify some channels, um, you want to find 3 to 5 similar channels. They don't have to be direct competitors, as in the exact same thing, but they need to be talking to the same people. You want to analyze their top performing videos. I would recommend if you go to their videos and you list them by most popular, if there's nothing there within the last year, I would then go to their most recent videos and pick the highest viewed videos, like the top 5 highest viewed videos within the last year. That's going to be more important than finding this one video that they did 5 years ago had 100,000 views. It's not going to tell us real-time information. So I would look at their top viewed videos within the last year to 6 months. What you're going to be doing with those videos, and I would say look at 3 on each channel. 3 to 4 should be a good enough information. You want to look at the comment section because that is going to be where the gold lies, is looking at what people are asking and saying. And not every video is going to have great comments, but there are going to be pieces of gold in the comments. The other thing that you want to be looking at is their titles. How are they structuring their titles? Their thumbnails. What do you see consistently through their thumbnails? Thumbnails. And I will tell you, just because somebody is doing a thumbnail a certain way doesn't mean they're doing YouTube right. So you need to take that into consideration. We're going to collect all this information, right? And then we're going to start to build the strategy based on what we know works well on YouTube. So you're going to just be looking at thumbnails. What is the text on the thumbnails? What is the imagery on the thumbnails? What is the text on the thumbnail versus the titles? This is just helping you understand how this person is building content for YouTube. And this can go yes or no for you watching a few videos. Now, if you're concerned about watching a video and it possibly creating a bias for you on how you're going to come up with your content or get in your head and you start creating a comparison syndrome, then skip it. But if you could just watch and see how is this person, now these are the better performing videos, right? The better performing videos. How are they opening this video? What are they saying in the first 5 to 10 seconds? And how are they connecting that to the title and the thumbnail? Did they do a good job of that? And then how are they, formatting their content? Are they adding B-roll? Are they adding text? Like, how are they editing their videos as well? And then you're going to be able to identify gaps and opportunities to make your content stand out. All right. There's a pro tip here. If you want to search like your viewer, your ready to buy viewer, you will want to set up a test account. So you'll want to create a new YouTube channel and search how your ready to buy viewer would search and start watching those videos, because as you start watching videos your ready to buy viewer would watch, YouTube will recommend more of that content. Remember how I say if you click on this thumbnail, here are the 5 people that watch it, YouTube finds more people who watch this video and it goes out. You can do that. It will take you some time, I'm not gonna lie, but if you open up a test account, you look for, you ask questions, search up questions that your ready to buy audience would be searching, watch a few videos, see what's been recommended on the search bar or the homepage. That's how you're going to really start to dig into what that person is going to be recommended and those channels. Good versus bad niche neighbor research. Good research identifies channels with your ready to buy audience, studies their top performing content and the engagement, takes notes of titles, thumbnails, and content structure, finds gaps where you can offer something unique. Bad research picks random big name creators, focuses too much on direct competition. So you may want to look at those, 6 degrees of separation type channels, copies content instead of differentiating. So I want to make this clear. We're not copying what people are doing. We may do a video on the same topic, and that's okay because you have your own way of teaching it. You have your own structure. You have your own format. You can do a video on the same topic as somebody, but we're not going to say the same things that they say in that video. This is an example of a niche neighbor analysis. So YouTube channel for course creators and coaches, someone like me. I focus on helping course creators, coaches grow their business using YouTube. My niche neighbors could be Amy Porterfield, Jasmine Starr, Pat Flynn, Vanessa Lau, Mariah Cause. I will say there are 3 people here that are not doing YouTube strategies. So because I know that they're great to see what kind of content they're creating, but I know they're not actively doing YouTube properly. So I would take that with a grain of salt. And if you have any questions about your niche neighbor analysis, and if that person is doing YouTube right, we can always talk about it in our DMs. These work because they serve course creators and coaches. They talk about growing an online business, but they also don't focus on YouTube strategy specifically. So that gives me an opportunity to maybe find that Venn diagram between their audience and mine. YouTube channel for Etsy and homemade business owners. They help Etsy and handmade sellers grow their shop through SEO and content marketing. Catnip, who shares insights on running a successful Etsy shop. Lauren, who teaches Etsy SEO and product listing optimization. Nancy, who covers Etsy marketing and shop strategies. Cara discusses product pricing and sales strategies for handmade businesses. And Heather Studio, who teaches Instagram and Pinterest marketing for handmade shop owners. All right. Why these work? They serve handmade sellers. They focus on marketing and scaling Etsy shops. Now, they don't directly compete with a YouTube-based Etsy strategy. So the example here was focusing on using YouTube to sell your Etsy shop. So just to clarify that, none of these channels focus on that particular angle, but it was still the same people. So you can start to see how it doesn't need to be a one-for-one niche neighbor. Helping busy women lose weight sustainably without extreme dieting. We have Jordan, who we mentioned earlier, teaches sustainable weight loss and fitness. Greg, who covers fitness myths, muscle building and weight loss. Abby reviews diets and nutrition strategies. Autumn, who talks about intermittent fasting. And Caroline offers home workouts. So you can see how one person could be watching all these different types of channels, right? They're going to Abby to learn about nutrition strategies. They're going to Jordan to learn about weight loss. They're going to Carolyn to watch home workouts. They're in that category. All of these channels fit within that category. So these work as niche neighbors because they serve women who want sustainable weight loss. They talk about fitness and nutrition, and they don't necessarily compete with a coaching-based weight loss. Sorry. I put my camera in the middle of my screen and then it's always hard to see. They don't compete directly with a coaching-based weight loss model. Here's another example. Helping online business owners stay productive and organized. We've talked about Ali. He covers productivity and life optimization. Amy, who is amazing, I watch her all the time, teaches time management and content batching. Marie Forleo talks about mindset, business, and motivation. Jillian, who talks about focusing on building a profitable online business, and Cal Newport, who covers deep work and productivity strategies. These work as niche neighbors because they focus on entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurs. They discuss time management and productivity, but they don't compete directly with a business-specific coaching on organization and scaling. So if you were a coach doing organization and scaling for business owners, these would be great because none of them are even offering that. And if you could get that audience to your channel, it'd be a great opportunity for you. So your homework in this lesson is to identify 3 to 5 niche neighbors using the research methods today, analyze their top performing videos and engagement patterns, identify content gaps that you could fill. And this says draft 5 to 10 video ideas, but you could start listing some video ideas. So if you see a video that did really well on a niche neighbor's channel and you're like, I love that topic, I could talk about that topic all the time, and you already know it's performing well on a niche neighbor, write it down. And we could potentially start building a playlist funnel just from your niche neighbor analysis. Now, there is a tab in your playbook that you can fill out to answer some of these questions and some chat GTP prompts to help you along the way for this lesson as well. So we will have that linked in the portal for you to use.